Welcome to The Best Places to Lead Show. I'm your host, Jerry McNamara. I'm so grateful that you've decided to come. Listen, we're on a mission to positively impact 5 million people in the next 4 years through better business. So we already have year one down. We're making some traction and some headway. And here's the point. I've never met anyone who's shown up to work and said, you know what, I really want to suck today. And yet there are plenty of people that are very ineffective and disengaged in their work, but it's not their fault. It's really our fault as the senior leaders. And it's why I'm working with leaders to help create compelling companies that outperform and still make it home for dinner. That's really the key piece, right? We've got to make it home for dinner, or else success without fulfillment doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And that's why I have our guest here today. He's going to share with us his journey through the NFL, building a company, having that not go so well, the resilience and the mindset that happened behind that. And so today we have Marques Ogden on the show. Like I said, former NFL lineman, CEO of a construction company, development company in Baltimore, now a podcast host. I was on his show. It is terrific. You guys should watch it. I love it. Consultant speaker. So Marques, you went to Howard University. You then went and you followed your brother Jonathan's footsteps into the NFL, played with 5 teams, right? Do I have that right? 4? Four
yeah.
teams. Okay. I know the Jags were one of them because we have a mutual friend, Mike Ryan, and he said, you're quite a character. And I said, you know what? You're right now that I've met you. So I loved it. And one of the things I thought was really interesting, while you were in the NFL, you took advantage of some of the resources to prepare for your life after the NFL. And, you ultimately took advantage of that. We're going to talk a little bit about lots of things over the course of your life. I have really enjoyed researching you and, have lots of questions for you. So welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Jerry. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. So one of the things that really struck me was it seems like your dad is a really important and influential person in your life. I know he raised you as a single parent, and in your bio, you said he instilled perseverance and fairness into your life. Tell me a little bit about why you said that about your dad.
Because our father did a great job of allowing us to be young men, learning us to help us become better men. But at the same time, he was always very fair with us. He was our best friend. He was our biggest supporter, cheerleader, all that we did. He was all about everything we were doing. But in reality, at the heart of it, he always was there behind us to make sure we were always going to do and have the best. And so what I mean by perseverance and fairness was he allowed us to live our life, make mistakes, have shortcomings, maybe come up a little bit short here or there, but he was always fair in our assessments of how to do better and how to push forward. And as a result of that, we became who we are today as men. And our father was the entire reason for that, between his way of being a great teacher, great father, dad, a great educator, cheerleader, you name it, he was great in every aspect of the word.
Man, it's so fun when you have people in your corner. And, I have 2 young kids, a 6 and 10, near 11-year-old. And we fight that balance all the time of, when do you need to step in and when do you need to let them fail? And it is really hard. And so I love that you have such an admiration for your dad and the way he raised you, because I think it sets the foundation for who we are as a person and how that really helped you as you traverse the career path that you're on. And I think it's amazing. One of the things that I thought about too, as I was doing some thinking, I grew up with an older brother who was 8 years above me. And, in our small little town, he was a bit of a legend around town, in some ways good, and in other ways not so good, right? He made it sometimes harder for me because the teachers were like, what? You're a McNamara. I'm going to keep 2 eyes on you. What did you learn growing up with your brother? Because, your brother had tremendous success. He was out in front of you in the NFL. What was that like, shoulder to shoulder with your brother?
It was awesome because I got to learn how to be a great NFL player. I learned how to be a great man. I learned how to be a lot about responsibility and accountability. So playing with my brother, it really set the tone for me to be able to develop myself beyond the gridiron. And in reality, it was just amazing because I got a chance to play with him in Baltimore, which was amazing. And I got a chance to really interact with him and be in that regard. So for me, having an older brother in the NFL and set the tone for me was really great and on every aspect. So I really enjoyed that in that regard.
I can only imagine, right? I have two sisters, two older sisters, in addition to my brother. I say this all the time. They are my heroes in life. It's why it took me so long to find my wife, because when that is your expectation of what a woman looks like and success, same thing, for your brother, like, hey, that's what it looks like. And you get to do that every single day. And there's a level of admiration. It's amazing to do that. Who's mentally tougher, you or your brother?
I would definitely say me, because my brother, we're both very tough. But my brother was 6'9" in the eighth grade, and he was bigger than most NFL linemen in the eighth grade. So for us, and he really came to the point of being able to advance and develop, and had a lot more things given to him than I did. So I had to work a lot harder to get where I ended up. And that's not saying he didn't work hard, I'm not saying that.
Yeah,
But I had to work harder because I wasn't as big or physically gifted as my brother was. So I had to work a lot harder in that regard to get where I wanted to go.
Yeah. I think, comparison's always the thief of joy. But when it comes to siblings, I think it's okay to stack those things up. It's all right. Let's talk a little bit about, moving out of the NFL and into, your life in construction and development. And I say this, I've run 5 businesses in 5 different industries. I think CEOs are the biggest gamblers on earth, right? Because every day we step up to the table and we push the chips into the middle, and we push our success that we had yesterday, and we say, I think we can do it again. And I think we can do it a little bit better. So, I said this, during your time in the NFL, you took advantage of some programs. You had a degree in finance from Howard, you pursued some construction management. What drew you to the idea of going into construction post football?
To be real with your audience, it was all about the money. I didn't know construction. I had no aspiration of being this phenomenal, home improvement 10 out type of guy. That wasn't it for me. I chased money. And for a while it worked out, and I gambled and I won. And I tell everybody, I was very successful in my path. And I had a lot of money. I had cars. I had notoriety. I had all these things, but I was never fulfilled in the quest of being a construction owner. I wasn't happy with what I was doing. I wasn't fulfilling in that regard. So to me, success is things that you're monetary or you can see, which again, it's not bad. We need to have a home, cars, we need to take care of ourselves, our loved oneself. Success is good as long as you understand what is really the heart of it. But if you're not fulfilled in your quest, you're going to fail. It's just not going to work, because again, I was very successful in construction, 8 figures, all this type of stuff. It's ridiculous. It's how great we had everything. I mean, we had everything, but it's really horrible in that regard.
Yeah. I think about this, and we talked a little bit on your show, right? Success without fulfillment is the greatest ripoff in life. When everyone is looking and saying, oh my God, Marques, you're amazing. This is incredible. And you're like, yeah, it's giving me the outputs. And I ran a construction business, so I understand the economics of a good construction business. Took that from 7 to 30 million in 3.5 years. It's real, and it can be addicting for sure. How did you double down to realize, man, this isn't me. I'm in this quest for money?
So what I found is that I doubled down on the things that didn't matter, right? And I tell people all the time, if you're going to double down in life, double down on things that matter, like character, relationships, people, not money, not fame, not notoriety. And as a result of that, I made some really, really bad mistakes in that regard. And that's really, really bad in that regard. So in real terms, that's really what it's come down to, is that I learned how to, unfortunately, double down on the wrong things, which cost me everything.
Mm. What were those mistakes, Marques? Because, I always say we're better together. And, I had my teeth bashed in. And so I'm going to tell you everything that I know, so you don't have to get your teeth bashed in too. And that's the whole purpose and idea behind this show. What were those mistakes that you made?
The mistakes I made was I was really all about myself and what I wanted and what I needed. And I lost sight of people. And people drive everything in business. And if you don't have strong people around you, you will fail.
I agree. I always choose better people. In fact, I was just in Denver visiting some clients, and we were talking about if you could hire 5 people at above average salaries or 3 absolute all stars at premium salaries, that we would all hire 3 people premium salaries. Yeah, because they know how to figure stuff out. It's amazing. Now, walk me through, right? So everything's going well, right? We're riding high. And in, I think it was 2013, you lost $2 million in 90 days. How did that happen? Walk us through that, because that gives me anxiety and heartburn thinking about it. I can't imagine what it felt like for you.
So it was really a poor mistake I made, judging that I could work for a client that I had worked for before and they would take care of me. And I ended up doing a lot of change order work, a lot of extra work that I did on a handshake because I thought it was going to get me what I needed to have done. As a result of that, I ended up not getting paid by the client, losing everything, not having a good place, a good position. And I went all in and I gambled on chasing fame, money, notoriety. As a result of that, I ended up getting overextended, did all the work and completed it. And I was not paid back by the developer and the contractor. And I filed a Chapter 7 bankruptcy in 2013.
Heartbreaking. When you step forward and you talk about relationships and people, and then, I mean, honestly, people screw you. And I've seen it happen so many times in construction. And it's why there's lien releases. It's why all of those things exist. And yet, here it is. We're buddies. Yeah, absolutely. I can take care of this. Oh yeah, I can move that over there. And then it's like, wait, now it's my turn to get that money back, and you've screwed me. And they have real short memories in that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I tell my clients today, every project stands alone. And if you feel that you're going to be able to just ride high or get where you want to go in life by being on somebody else's project or doing something from a past project, you're going to get screwed, because every project stands alone. Business, the bottom line is a company will care about their bottom line over yours every day of the week.
Yeah, I think that's an important lesson too, because as we head into, what's been a wild ride with COVID, but lots of free money in the economy, and now we're starting to see some noise and some pullback. I think you're right. I mean, full of the fittest. I mean, heck, even Amazon and Facebook and every single one of them have laid off thousands and thousands of people. And so walk me through now how you think about that. How do you balance being a people person and recognizing that people are at the heart of it and relationships are super important, yet projects have to stand on their own?
Relationships are the old and the new currency, but relationships aren't going to get the job executed. So you have to be able to get the job executed, do your job, be competent, be reliable, and have your client's best interest. At the same time, business is not transactional. It's relationship driven. If you are a vendor and not a partner of an organization, you are in deep trouble. If I'm a vendor and they give my client a cheaper price, more likely than not, they're going to go with that cheaper price. If you are a partner, someone tries to undercut you, they will come back to you and try to give you first, last right of refusal, or they'll say, you know what, you're 10% cheaper. I'd rather stay with my guy because they are a partner I can count on every single day.
I think that's a great one, because I always aspire to have transformational relationships instead of transactional ones, right? If we're just trading dollars with each other for effort, then it becomes a little bit hollow. And when things get tight, it's easy to be displaced. But if you're pursuing world-class relationships, changes the dynamics of how everything works together. And so I think you're right. If we can all aspire to have transformational relationships, that's everything. I love that whole notion of, partnership, because, I've been in businesses before, Marcus, where people say, oh yeah, like let's partner. And really what they mean is I want you to buy more shit from me, not that they're going to stand by you when things are hard. Tell me a little bit about, my experience when, businesses start to backslide is it feels like death by 1,000 paper cuts, because you're negotiating, you're trying to figure it out. Like, how do I get my money? How did you continue to show up during that time when when things aren't headed in the right direction, you're feeling hollow, you can feel the pinch? What was that like for you?
What it was is I had to learn, and we had to learn how to give maximum value so people wouldn't question our pricing. And once we figured that out, like today, we're doing very well. I mean, it's almost surreal how well we're doing business wise because we have so much value and we bring it through our podcast, our relationships with different media and podcasts and other outlets, and our speaking and our coaching and our consulting. I'm gonna get people on the call that are listening. In times of like economic downturn, don't pull back on your marketing. Don't, because if you're not investing in marketing, coaching, sales enhancement, then what you're doing is you are cutting yourself off at the knees from getting where you want to go. So learn how to be wise and invest more in your marketing, because if people don't know you exist, they can never, ever buy your product and or services.
I love that. If people don't know that you exist, they can't buy your product or services. It's so true. And it's the thing that I see most often in downturns is people pull back on marketing, administration, and quality.
Can't do it, because
Can't do
if your marketing is bad, people aren't going to find you. If your operations and your admin is weak, you won't do your job well. And if you're cutting back on on your like I said, your budgets and people that are doing your work and your workforce, yeah, it's you're setting yourself up for complete failure.
Yeah, I think you're right, especially in this environment. You know, walk me through the transition, because one of the videos I watched, I literally, I'm not afraid to say this because everyone knows here I'm a high E. You were talking about going from being this success in the NFL to having a company declaring bankruptcy to being a janitor to try and make some money and make ends meet. And I thought, wow, that journey in your mind must have been incredibly, at least it would have been for me, incredibly difficult to go from the top to, being very humbled. What were you telling yourself every day as you were on that journey?
Was reminding myself of the end game. Didn't know what that really was, but I said, right now, nobody wants to hear from me. I've lost it all. People don't respect me. And you know what? It is what it is. I can't change it. If I could, I would, but I can't. So instead of focusing on the day-to-day monotony and the grind, I focused on my ability to see the long game, to see the end result. And as I did that every day, even though my days were long and hard and arduous, I was able to get into a position of continuing to move forward in my journey. And that's really and truly what it's all about. I mean, I have a coaching client here at 4 o'clock with my good friend of mine, David Tyree, who actually made the helmet catch in the Super Bowl. And he's actually at the Super Bowl right now. This is our last call, not last call, it's our call, and the game's coming up, we'll get back on schedule. But we always talk about, being somebody that's going to accept that you need to do your best. And I always tell people, you don't have to do the best to be your best. We had another guy on our podcast, Willie Parker, and Willie talked about how he has the longest touchdown run from scrimmage in Super Bowl history, 75 yards, undrafted free agent out of Chapel Hill. And he said on my podcast, when it was time, his number was called in the Super Bowl for that run, he was available and he showed up, period. And he showed up. And that's the same thing you do in business. Be available and show up. And so now what I've learned is that at the end of the day, life is going to be hard and difficult, sure. But if you can focus on what you want to achieve or what fulfillment you desire versus the day-to-day grind monotony, the chance of you getting through that day-to-day grind to the other side is that much greater.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've learned, because I haven't always had it easy as I've gone through business and life, is that it's easy to stop when shit gets hard, right? And I say, if you're not clear about what you're fighting for, then it's easy to give up. And you didn't. I mean, you kept on slogging to the other side, now to a successful career on the other side of that. What was it that you were fighting for?
I was fighting for the legacy of my father and my dad, and how he gave everything so I could have a better life than him. And when I lost everything, it made me understand this, how to appreciate everything. I was saying, when you lose everything, you learn to appreciate everything. And I ended up pushing and scratching and scrounging just to get by. One of my favorite shows I used to watch was Good Times. Of course, it came up before I was born, but the reruns came on like in the mid to late 80s, 90s. It still comes on to this day. And I remember James talking about, in one of the episodes, he told some guy who's like a rich African-American guy that made it out of the ghetto, who but kind of forgot where he came from. What do you think I'm scratching and scrounging for? What do you think I'm here for? My family and the others behind me. And he said, if we are lucky enough to make it out of the ghetto, we're never going to forget the ones that are still stuck behind or left behind. So we're never going to forget those that are behind. And that's what I think about. That's what I thought about. I say, I don't want to be a person that his legacy is tainted by, he was a great athlete. He did do this. He did do that, but he didn't fight for something more than his past. So now today I'm fighting for my present and my future self. I don't know what my future self looks like. I mean, I know what I would like it to be, but I don't know what's going to look like. I know who my present self is. I fight for that person every day. And the past is the past. And there's good, there's bad, there's pain, there's joy, there's all that stuff. But like who I am now and going into the future, that's what matters most.
I think you're right. Over my shoulder, as you're listening to this post-production, I'm on a mission to positively impact 5 million people now over the next 4 years. My skills don't match my ambition, Marques, right? And I'm working so hard to level up, but I recognize that I'm not there yet. And that's why here's where I am. And here's the journey that I'm on to get there. And like you, I'm thinking about things like legacy and how do you give back and how do you do something, like you said, honor your dad's legacy. It's something greater than yourself. And I think when people don't connect to anything other than themselves, then it's easy to feel shallow and hollow and look left and look right. And people are like, yeah, I don't want to take his call, right? But when you are a giver, it's amazing what happens and how things come back to you for sure.
Amen.
Amen.
Be a giver, not a receiver. Be somebody that's humble, not somebody that's arrogant. Be somebody that is full of character. That's somebody that's full of venom or rage or envy or jealousy, right? And be somebody that is just a natural giver, right? I mean, that's just who I am. That's what I hope to get from people. Because at the end of the day, that's what life's all about. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about.
That's my experience with you. You are certainly a giver and full of lots of energy. Question for you. What is your present self? If you stop and reflect, who is it today?
My present self is a very humble, very grateful speaker, coach, consultant, brand ambassador, business owner, podcast host, author. And I'm a guy that's never going to forget where he came from. And I'm a guy that's never, ever going to treat anybody differently. It's because you make more than me or less than me. Because you're the CEO or you're a janitor. I've been both. And that's that.
Love it.
So, again, man, that's it. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Marques, where can people find more of you if they want some more you in their life?
They can go to our website, www.marques, MARQUES, Ogden, OGDEN.com, and connect with us today. We'd love to speak with you or email us at marques@marquesogden.com and connect with us.
I love it. I love it. And check out his podcast too. Plug your podcast because it's really good.
Yeah, the Get Authentic with Marques Ogden show on Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeart, Stitcher, Pandora. We've interviewed athletes, retired athletes, celebrities, business owners. We're interviewing Robert Irvine, celebrity chef, March 7th. We're interviewing Q Gibson. He is the CEO of CMOS Transformation. He's business partner with Kevin Hart and Mark Cuban. We're interviewing Mark Wahlberg in a few months on Matthew McConaughey's radar. And we're all about amazing guests that share their inspirational, authentic stories to help others succeed. So check us out and connect with let's get guests on our show.
I love it. I love it. Well, I really appreciate you coming in to join with us, share your wisdom and your story, because I think everyone wants to have this Facebook world and life that everything's perfect. And the reality of it is that the really brilliant ones are the ones where we pick ourselves up off the ground and keep on fighting. And you've certainly done that to create the other side, and the story on the backside of it, to me, is more inspiring than all the rest of it. And so congratulations on your success and what you're doing.
Thank you so much, man. Thanks for having me on. Hope you all have a fantastic day. And this was a great episode. Thanks for having me on, my friend.
Absolutely, Marques. Well, listen, everyone else, call to action. I'm on a mission and I need your help. So subscribe, leave a review on the podcast, on the shows. Come be part of our community on the Best Places to Lead Facebook group. I have to keep on asking this because I can't positively impact 5 million people by myself. So I have to ask people like Mike Hyens and Carol Coffey and Malia Krieger, who I love, all these people who are coming and joining and learning and growing together. That's what it's all about. We are better together. And so I appreciate all of you this wonderful Thursday. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you all soon again, okay?